A, B, A. Hey friends, today I'm sharing 3 cards that I created using Penguin Palace's Stencils 360. It's large and I can't get the whole thing in my shot, but I'm gonna try. And I'm using it along with the Centerpiece stencil and the So Blessed stamp and die set. So when I had first used this stencil system, it was a bit overwhelming because it's so large, but don't worry, you can get the hang of it. It's actually really easy once you do. So this is the base, and the base I just glued down to my glass mat because I don't want it to move. And it comes with guide rings. So you pick your guide ring based on the stencil that you want to use. And for today, my Centerpiece stencil is an 8-inch stencil. It also comes with paper positioners based on the size of cardstock you want to use. They have different sizes, like you can use an A2 size, you can use different square sizes up to 7 inches, but I just went ahead and used an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock that I just inserted right in the middle, and I'll be using the stencil right on top. And mainly that was because I just wanted the freedom of a larger piece because I wasn't exactly sure which part of the stenciled image I wanted to use and how I wanted to use it, which is why I ended up with 3 different cards. For this particular stencil, it will be rotated 3 times. So first I start at 12 o'clock. There's like a little emblem at the very top of every stencil, and you can check it with the key that is on the back of the packaging. And even if you get rid of the packaging, you can look it up online and they will let you know as well. But this will be rotated 3 times, and it will cover a basic like triangle pattern on my piece of cardstock. At least that's what it looks like to me. So you rotate it 3 times and it'll fill up that entire space. For my florals, for this one, I kind of go in with ombre colors. So for each of the florals and each of the leaves, I'll go in with 2 different colors, and I'll do this 3 times. So you'll see that I masked off certain areas and I just went ahead and stenciled. Of course, you can go in with 1 color if you wanted to. You can come in with 2 colors. I just decided to be a little extra fancy and use 3. I've rotated it twice already. This is my 3rd time, and I'll be doing this once again, and you can see the different colors that I use for the stencil. Nothing super fancy, just gonna go in and blend. It's not the most exciting thing. I think the more exciting thing of stenciling something like this is the reveal, and the reveal is so fun. So this is the reveal. Isn't that super pretty? And this is the second one. So I use different colors here. The first one's kind of more elegant, purple and pinks, and the second one has more of like a whimsical yellow and pink look. So I'm using the Inkblot Shop alignment guides, and they're basically alignment grids that are kind of etched on like vellum, but it's like sturdy material. And I'm actually using it to see where I want my card panels cut. So once I figure it out, I'll go ahead and cut the second stenciled piece in half, and then for the purple pink one, I actually use this for just 1 card, but the first one I cut in half, I'll be using it for 2 different cards. And because I had that 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, I had a little bit more freedom of where I wanted to cut things, and I wasn't limited to the size that I started with. But most of the time I actually do start with like a 6 by 6 square size, so it really depends on what you want to do. For the So Blessed stamp set, this is a stamp set that is 1 big piece and you stamp it all at once. There are 4 blocks where you can line it up with the dies. So you see the 4 black squares, that's how you use it to line it up with the dies. And it makes it so easy. It cuts it all at the same time. It also comes with the coordinating dies for the larger sentiments. So the 2 large sentiments in the set is So Blessed and Thank You. And then there's also a floral image if you want to use that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and run this through my die cut machine, and I will have a ton of sentiments to use for this card and for other cards down the road. So I'll just save them. I'll put aside most of them, but I will have 3 to use. So once I settle on my sentiments, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my panels. So for the first panel, I decided to use the So Blessed stamp image, and this is a large and pretty cursive sentiment, but I didn't realize that once I stamped it, it was kind of hard to see right on top of the purple flowers. So I'm going to do a little trick to just make it pop a little bit more. And for the supporting sentiment, I only wanted to use part of it, so I just grabbed a pair of scissors and kind of cornered the edges. and matched it to the other side. And I have my first card once I go ahead and fix my sentiment. So the sentiment didn't really stand out. It was kind of hard to read. So I grabbed a white gel pen and I'm just going around the outside of the sentiment so the blessed, the ED, just stands out a little bit more, makes it a little bit easier to read. I really didn't want to go and stamp on vellum and put it on top because I already stamped in black, which I mean, I could have stamped it on black on vellum and heat embossed it, but I really didn't want to go through the trouble, and this was just the easier trick. So if you ever want something to stand out a little bit more, just grab that white gel pen and outline around it and it should do the trick. So once I have that ready, I'll go ahead and mat it on the pink cardstock, and I thought this was really pretty and simple. And for my second card, I decided to use the thank you sentiment, and this one has a lot more white space, and I wasn't concerned because the floral that the thank you actually goes on top of is yellow, so the black really pops a little bit more here. So I wasn't concerned about having to do the same white gel pen trick. I'm using my Misty T ruler just to line up my supporting sentiment, and I find that it's so handy just to line up my sentiments to make sure everything is straight. And I'll go ahead and mat it on purple cardstock. So I have those two cards. For my third card, I'm going to go ahead and use the thank you sentiment, but this time I'm not stamping it directly on the panel. I'm using the coordinating dies to cut that out, and it's mainly because I'm using the stenciled portion for part of my yellow cardstock panel. And I went ahead and die cut the sentiment out, and then I'll be putting this card together. So originally I had decided to use just one side of it, and then I decided that it looks a little plain and I wanted to add a little accent to it. So I added a black strip of cardstock, and the strip was a little bit thicker, so it was like ½ inch maybe. I can't really remember, but then I thought it looked too stark and it stood out too much. So I grabbed a piece of paper and colored it up with a matching Copic marker, and then I cut down a smaller strip. It's just to place it right on top, and I think that that really takes away your attention from the black stripe. And I'm going to go ahead and then add the sentiment. So I'll be adding the sentiment directly onto my card panel and then adding the supporting sentiment right on bottom. So this works really well. I'm using, again, the Misty T ruler just to line it up, and I really appreciate all the markings on this thing. I never noticed it before because my T ruler didn't have markings, but it's super helpful. So to finish off the cards, I'm just going to be using matching bling. I am using bling from Trinity stamps, and I pulled out the yellow, pink, and purple just to match the matted cardstock, and I'm placing them in odd numbers. No rhyme or reason. I'm not really good with embellishments, but the trick is to walk away and the next day you're like, oh, that does look good. So when you're doing it, I fiddle with it a lot, and it takes a bit of time for me to figure out where I want things to go, and they look weird to me until I come back the next day, and then it looks fine. And I think it's because you're just staring at it for so long that the placement of it is so bothersome, but then you walk away and it's fine. So yeah, that's it for my 3 cards. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!